welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to you as well.
Allow myself to introduce myself. So, topic. My turn.
Yes.
I'm
Can't wait.
going to go back to the beginning a little bit. I think
Back to the gate. We're like episode 10.
No, back to the beginning of like parenting, right?
Oh, wow.
So we've talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about stuff that's super helpful because we're like the smartest people in junk, and that's what we're here for. But for those that are thinking of having kids, so they've yet to have kids.
Don't do it.
Thanks for coming out, everybody. No, that was the answer I was going for. No, what I'd like to discuss this evening is, what was it? What did you think parenthood was going to be like when you decided you wanted kids? And what do you wish you had known? Or what did you learn afterwards that you wish you had known ahead of time? Like, how does the perception versus the reality stack up? And what do you wish you'd known before you got into it?
Andrew, that's a lot of questions.
So let's break it down to
what did I think it was going to be?
Even before that, we'll take a step back. When did you know that you wanted to have kids?
Oh man, I remember me and Jamie walking around with basketballs under our shirts, like legit, like 18, 19. We were ready to have babies. I think even as a kid, I always knew I wanted to be a mom.
Okay, but that's not the same question. Knowing that you wanted to be a mom and have babies and blah, blah, blah. When did you know that you truly were ready to take a step forward and have a kid?
Seriously, like 18, 19. And then we were young when you and I were dating.
Yeah.
I think we seriously started talking about kids probably around 24, but I legitimately believed by the time I was 25, I would be a partner in a law firm and all my kids I would have already had all my babies and partner in a law firm by 25.
How'd that plan work out?
It didn't.
Okay.
My life is a big disappointment.
Okay, awesome. So this is taking a turn.
That's the kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I always had in my head. 25 associate law.
So
then prime minister by 26. Like that was kind of my game plan here.
Just getting off to a wobbly start.
So legit though, but didn't we start trying around 25, 26?
Yeah. Yeah, it took us
several years.
Yeah, it took us 5 or 6. Well, I was 30 when I was born. You were 29.
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay, so you always knew.
Yeah. Which
sounds weird. I'm not going to lie. Like hearing it in the world.
Why?
You knew from the time you were a child that you wanted to have a child.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a mommy.
What does that?
And literally, Jamie and I would walk around with basketballs under our shirts when we worked at the before and after school care program.
Doesn't sound better the second time. At all.
I've always loved working with kids and babysitting kids and being with kids.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know or perhaps don't even care, it did take years to have our first kid. It took extra years to have our second kid. Like it wasn't a quick, we decided we're going to have it and all of a sudden the baby was there. It took a long time.
Hard. Yeah.
Part of what I think allowed us to have a kid was we both changed jobs.
Yeah.
And miraculously, you were pregnant within a couple
3
weeks.
months. Yeah.
Like it was nothing. So there were some outside stresses, right? Okay. So you always knew.
And I wanted 6 kids, remember?
Yeah. You wanted 6 kids. Yeah, I remember. So I never had that clarity. I think I approached kids very much like I approached a lot of the rest of my life, which is, yeah, sure. You want to have kids? Yeah, sure. Let's have kids, man. That'll be cool. Like I had no
Didn't we have a previous episode how I wasn't a planner and you were?
See, but this is the stage of my life where I just allowed life to come at me and I kind of just rolled with it.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, let's have kids. And I felt it was a victory that I talked you off the ledge of 6 kids.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay. 4 kids. Let's go for 4 kids.
Yeah. You talked me down to 4 and then you were disappointed when I said, no, I'm done at 2.
Well, and I think it was because in my head, I was always expecting that there was going to be 2 more, right? And it's not that I was disappointed. It was just I had to modify my expectation. But for me, I never had a moment of, yes, it's time to have a family. Never. I never once thought it was it. I always just assumed it was going to happen, just like the rest of my life. It was just going to happen around me.
How did you feel then during that time when I thought we were hoping to get pregnant together.
I was all in. Like I was
So,
excited, and that's a fun time. Like let's not kid ourselves.
but it became chore.
Yeah, once we started involving
like timing, we've got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you had to go to clinics by yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of humiliation involved when you're forced to, I say this in a way, Ernest is going to kill me if he hears this and I say it poorly. Yeah, you gotta that's probably where I started questioning. So to answer my own question, how did the reality line up to the preconceived notion? I didn't think there was anything to it. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have a family. And the next thing I know, months later, I'm sitting in this sterile clinic with horribly outdated pornography, and people are just like, nothing's happening. Like, hey, how are you? Good morning. There's your room. Have a good time. We're gonna have a kid with you pretty soon. That was probably the largest departure from expectation to reality. Was this is not at all. I expected it was going to be you and me all the time and fun times, and all of a sudden the kid shows up, and no, I had to drive across town and go to a fertility clinic. So yeah, that'd probably be the biggest departure from expectation for sure. Post having kids though.
Yeah.
So let's edit that out and make it sound like it was super easy and the kids just showed up and it was awesome and it was utopic. What was your biggest realization after having kids that you never thought of? Good or bad?
I remember the first night, I think. It must have been like mild. I was never badly postpartum depression, but I just wept.
Mm-hmm.
And Maya was in her little thing next to me. I think I was just so overwhelmed. I couldn't have been tired because pregnancy I think it was just the lead up. Maybe my labor stories maybe for a different day, but they didn't believe that I was having the baby. And they kept sending me home thinking I was a hysterical mother, freaking out all the other mothers. You need to leave, go walk around the mall. If you feel like you need to come back. And then 5 minutes later, literally we had a baby. And so it was pretty traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do remember that. And I remember evenings for the first few months, and you were amazing help because I would take over, but you would stay up till 2.
Yeah, we traded. I always had the night shift, right?
But I had part of the night shift, but I actually feel like I almost had a little bit of PTSD. I was terrified of nights.
What about the nights were so scary?
I think it was just the overwhelm of the crying and being so exhausted. And I was still trying to do school. I never took any time off at all.
No.
So I think it was just the overwhelm of everything.
So when we knew we were going to have kids, you knew 20 years in advance of me, but then we finally have kids. So was your expectation that it was just going to be one sunny family unit and it'd be like, what did you think it was going to be?
It's interesting. I don't know if I knew what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe it was all Pollyanna, rose-colored glasses. Everything's going to be fantastic. Maybe
instead it's this creeping darkness all around you.
It was just the night times, though. I remember always singing "So This Is Love" from Cinderella. So this is love. And I remember just crying and looking and, but then I knew she was ADHD. God, from the time she was in the womb, remember? She just wouldn't, but I loved the feeling. I loved being pregnant. It was all Pollyanna because I loved being, everybody hated me because I stayed fit and I was sad having her out of me for the first little while because I loved feeling her move around and stuff like that. But oh my gosh, she was so ADHD. And so the stress, and I guess I just wasn't expecting that. She wasn't eating. She would suck for 2 seconds and then she'd be so busy looking around. She just couldn't eat. And so I was at the lactation clinic every Tuesday at the one. And then I'd go on every Wednesday at the other one and freaking out. And they're like, this is just, so there's just so much stress around everything. But I think, and I think we've already talked about too, just me being in school while she was a baby. I do wish I had taken that year to be able to just be a mom, to be able to just bond. I think that I was hoping for that and expecting that.
I wonder how different our life would be if you had done that, because 10-1, you wouldn't have went back.
Oh yeah, no.
And we would have 6 kids, and I'd be driving some awful minivan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
But I did the one thing, the reason why I wanted 6 kids, and maybe this is the only expectation I had as a parent, is my mom had 5 siblings
mhm,
and every Christmas, and then they all had their kids, right? So I just remember at Christmas time, either going to my Auntie Deb's or my grandpa's, and us all being there with all of the cousins. And I loved that so much. I loved being there with the big, huge family. I
mhm.
loved it. And I wanted that so much, so much. And I could just see, now it's just me and my brother. And so maybe we'll have 4 kids, and it's just a lot smaller, right?
Mhm.
And we don't have the big family piece. And I miss that. And I had wanted that for our kids too, to have all the kids and all the cousins and all of that. And I think that was my expectation. I didn't think of all the daily in and out. And oh my gosh, like, why did you throw every toy that you own off the balcony? It's smashed to pieces
Mhm.
below.
Yeah.
Why did you finger paint your poo all over your wall? I remember Willow, oh my gosh, because we're toilet training. We're like, don't poo in your diaper.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And we toilet trained early. We had them both toilet trained before they were 2. So they're itty bitty. Maya was out of her crib like 10 months in. Well, maybe it was a little bit after that, but Willow was still in her crib. But I remember putting her in her crib for a nap, and she had been calling,
Hmm.
but we were ignoring her because we thought she was trying to get out. She had been calling us. We ignored her, and she knew the rule: don't poo in your diaper. So little monkey butt took her diaper off because she had to poo.
Yeah.
And she pooed in her crib. And then she's like, oh no. So she's like picking up her poo, and she tried to throw it into her diaper off the crib. And then it was on her fingers, and she finger painted it all on her crib. Whereas Maya literally like was in her room, because she wasn't in a crib at that age, and finger painted on the wall. Like, that stuff I wasn't expecting.
The amount of horrific bodily expulsions you have to deal with.
And the poo up the back in the
Yeah.
car seat, it
Yeah.
would be up in her hair.
Yeah.
Like, it
One
wouldn't.
of the children, we won't name the child because at this point they're both going to be mortified by this episode, but one of the children rocket pooped up her back. So to those that are going to have kids, be ready. It's like Old Faithful.
Always in her hair. Like, I didn't understand. And I would try everything to keep the diaper and the poo in the diaper. Nope.
Yeah.
Always up her back.
There was a lot of poo.
I remember once. Yeah, it's overwhelming when you first have babies. I went to a baby shower. Mine was probably 2 or 3 months by then. Went to a baby shower for somebody else. And you know how it is. Babies are getting passed around. I was being passed around. And then I'm like getting tired, and I left. And so I left, and I was out at my car, and someone's like, Caroline, did you forget anything? I'm like, no, I didn't bring anything. I couldn't have forgotten.
Great party. Thanks.
Your baby? I'm like, oh my God, I left my baby. Because she's still so new, and she was just gone. And then you forget, right? And so, as horrific as it is, and I've never forgotten my kids in a car, as horrific as that is, and how horrible, how can parents do it? But I could see,
Oh, totally.
You're exhausted. Like that one dad, I think it was in Florida, who it was out of his routine. He doesn't take the baby, but one day his wife couldn't, and he was supposed to. He made a quick stop and forgot, and went into work and left his baby. Like, horrific, but I can see how it happens. So I think, there's a lot of more humanity. We make a lot more mistakes. There's a lot more uncertainty because there is no school, there is no manual, there is no anything. You're like, yeah, we got this. I think that there's just so much frustration and infuriation and exhaustion, but then the joy and the love, like even tonight with Maya, I'm like, oh my God, I love you so much. Like, oh, I just want to squeeze you because I love you so much. And I didn't know love. And that's why I was
Yeah.
singing that. Like, so this is love. Like, oh my gosh, you came out of me. It was so surreal. I still talk about that. You came out of my vagina, kid. So weird.
Yeah. You announce that anywhere. Like you'll throw that down. Group dinners, doesn't matter. It is interesting our choice of playlists when we were singing to the kids.
Right.
Because I sang like Gallows Pole by like Zeppelin, and you're
Right.
singing all these airy fairy. Oh my god, it's so
I only knew the words to Disney songs.
Going to California. Used to sing Going to California with her all the time. Yeah, for me it was like I said, I had no expectation about having kids. Like it was always, yeah, we're gonna have kids. So for me, the expectation began to fall apart when we couldn't have kids right away, and the struggle. But what I found was incredibly sobering was the feeling of isolation as soon as the kid comes home. In that, so as the dad, your role for the first year is pick up and clean up. That's basically all you're good for. Pick this up, carry this, move this, do this. And then the night shift, right? Like I had no problem with her being on the night shift. And you and I were good about trading off so that I scheduled my day that I go to work at a time that it made sense, and and I would stay up late and whatever. But there is, to your earlier point, there's family, and there's these pockets of help, but they don't really help, right? It really does. Like on those nights where the baby won't stop crying and you're beside yourself tired and having your own breakdown, and I'm some dude that up until now, the only skill I brought to the table was the ability to pull apart a carburetor and maybe put it back together. I'm now holding this child with no clue about what to do, and an impending sense that whatever I decide is going to be wrong. That was probably the first 2 years. Well, you can't put her to bed because if you do this and this, she's going to learn this, and then you're like, okay,
you put her diaper on wrong.
Totally, right. And so for me, that was the biggest thing. Was there's a crazy feeling of isolation, right? In terms of, I don't want to do anything wrong. I don't want to be seen as not doing enough. I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Everybody's tired. The kid is demanding, as sweet as she is and as awesome as she is. And both girls were awesome. We had great kids. But that to me was the biggest thing. And it was something that I don't know how you prepare for, right? Like, I think if I was to go back and I was to say, how would I have done a better job, or how could we have done a better job? Like, I see why the second kid is raised differently, right? Because you are through all of those anxieties. You're not going to kill the kid, right? You realize that there's no perfect way to put them into a car seat. Just get them in, strap them down, and hope that the thing doesn't pop open because they're wearing their full snowsuit, right? Once you get over those, it's way easier and it's way more accepting and it's way more chill. But that first kid in that first year or two, especially from the dad's perspective, can be horrifying at times, right? Especially, the one thing I noticed is women become, like, everybody teases men about mansplaining. There is a definite counter to that, and it is women and their knowledge of biology all of a sudden when they have a kid. And it's like, I'm not just talking to you, like, any woman would talk to me like I was lobotomized, and I'm like, okay, thank you for that. That really isn't helpful.
What?
Just things like basic things. Like, women would correct me on how to hold my eye all the time. You can't hold her like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm like, well, works for her, works for me. Like, we're going to keep chugging along. Well, but this is what, don't care. Right. But there's this, I don't even know how you, mansplaining is such a great term. I don't know how you get something as good as on the opposite side, but yeah, there's this really weird gender specific separation that happens when you're the dude. And it's odd. It's very odd. And not what I wasn't expecting.
And I think I was so surprised how much, actually, I think I did an article years ago about like dad shaming. Yeah, and there really is. And oh man, this could go into so many different episodes because even just your generation of dads don't have the models. Like your dad was a very different, that generation of parenting, dads were breadwinners and they weren't around. And so I think your generation of dads had a hard time. There's so many more expectations to co-parent more. But I remember even just other moms, like how isolating, even being with other moms, especially, I don't know, like there was something about us and with Maya, like they were picking on her. Even,
Well, I used to call the other kids stupid and ugly, loud enough for the other parents to hear. So that might have had something to do with it.
but it was just the opinions. I wasn't expecting
judgment.
that.
It's all judgment.
Yeah.
Right. As soon as, and that's the exact same thing that I experienced from women to me, is a judgment. You're just a man. The amount of times it's like, you don't understand this because you're just a man. So, and then it goes into some, if I spoke to not just a person, but a woman specifically in that manner, I'd be tarred and feathered because it's ignorant and it's condescending and it's inappropriate. But there's this acceptance, right, of, well, just, you don't really know. This is how it's supposed to be. And because you read that blog that lady in Kentucky put up, and so you're an expert in all of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
There's this really weird bias or judgment that I never expected. So there's the isolation piece I never expected, and then there's this weird judgment piece. And you're right. It was everywhere. Like, everybody's grading their kids against your kid, and
that was it. Both the kids, and there was always a comment, a little dig. Like I remember it was a Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Was it her first Halloween? It was her first Halloween. So she was born in February. So she would have been what? So March, April, May, June, July.
Caroline's
August,
not
September,
using her hands account right now, just so you know.
She was 9 months old.
Yeah.
And she was pushing one of those push cart things.
Yep.
Being around. Well, first of all, no, there was another one. I think she was like 3 or 4 months old.
Yeah, well, she was taking the toy from the kid.
She was already sitting up, already moving around, took a toy from another baby who was just laying there.
Like a sad, ugly lump. Right?
And the mom started calling Maya a bully. So we were.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
You came home upset.
I was so upset. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like 3 months old, 4 months old. But she was always really fast with everything. And 9 months old, she was bombing around, walking, pushing a cart. So she wasn't quite walking on her own, but she was pushing something. And the moms were all like, oh, Caroline, I'm surprised she doesn't have her driver's license yet. And then there was something shortly thereafter. I think it wasn't quite Christmas. So she was 1 at least. And anyways, maybe it was the birthday party. It must have been around their birthday party. And I went away, and Maya had said something to her approximation, where's mommy?
Mm-hmm.
And the mom was like, what did you just say? Where's mommy? And then Maya got a little nervous. Like, it was just one thing after another. Yeah. And when she was toilet trained by, again, next Christmas.
It was that beach party where she was.
Oh yeah. It was even before the next Christmas.
It was Lake Bonavista was the last time we went, we consciously stayed as part of the group because it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it was a big thing because now she's toilet trained. Right. Yeah. And asking to go to and everyone's still in diapers. So, I mean, like, not that we planned that, but the judgment was it was just so hard. And that was isolating as well. Cause I never felt part of the group, and I never felt,
this group still meets, like this group still gets together. Cause what was it? We went to one a few years ago, like the 10-year one, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
And it was immediately the exact same. Oh, so this is Maya. Oh, it's like, really, guys?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I think, that to me, and I want to be careful. I don't want this to be a downer episode.
No.
Like, but I mean, it's really important for people that are nearing having kids.
Have support.
Yeah. And
good people around you.
And even more than that, be super honest with your partner. Like, we made it through the darker first year or two when we didn't know what was going on. And I remember we had some harsh conversations where we weren't happy. We didn't know what was going on. Like, we just felt lost. Right. And I remember having conversations like that with Maya beside us in the high chairs. We're feeding her, just not knowing what's going on. And if you and I hadn't had those conversations, we never would have survived, right?
Yeah.
Because there's the only way to get through it. So for me, the reason why I wanted to ask this question is it's really important for me as the dad to get across. Don't have any expectations other than service to your partner and your kid. And I don't think I did that great of a job. I think I learned as we went. I think I was shell shocked for the first 6 months because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't like it was because I didn't have expectations of kind of what kind of dad I was going to be and what we're going to do. It all was just overwhelming, right? So I had to find my way. And I hope to a certain degree I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just still shell shocked and the kids are ready to move out. But it's really important that every decision you make when you're about to have kids is the right decision for you and your partner, and that you are 100% on the same page, right? We were on the same page in our own weird way that we were ready to have kids, right? I wasn't opposed to it. I was cool with it. Took forever, awkward, shamed me, made me feel like less of a man. Kid shows up. Here we go. It was awesome, right? She's a sweetheart. She's a great kid. They're both great kids. But be open about how you feel you're doing in supporting each other, especially in that first year. Because as a dad, your job is to, and I see this now more clearly than when we were going through it. My job was to help you survive and thrive that first year. That was my job, regardless of whether you're going to school or whatever or anything. That's the job, right? I don't breastfeed. I don't have a maternal instinct. According to the women we talk to, I don't have common sense in raising a child, right? But there is ways that I can be in service to you that ultimately benefit you and the kid, right? And it was way easier with Willow. Like I knew I could just pick Willow up and wander around with her when you were feeling stressed and had work to do, and there wouldn't be any issue. But when it was Maya, she was on the floor playing and you were this, and I didn't know, should I come get her? Should I leave her? Should I do it? So just be super open, super clear, have zero ego when it comes to talking through what you both need, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be shitty to each other. You're going to be shitty to each other at points without intending to be, right? You're just too tired and you strike out and you don't mean to. So you have to be able to have the conversation without ego and just know that the goal here, and we've talked about this before, is when there's a problem, it's not you versus me versus the problem. It's you and me versus the problem. So the only way to do that is to be on the same page and just be okay with it. And then the other thing is, get a support system and be okay asking and defining for the support system you need. Because a lot of people, when we did reach out and say, we're tired or we need help, or they volunteered their idea of what we needed. Right. Why don't you get out of the house and just go do this? And but no, I don't want to shower. I don't want to change out of my pajamas. I want everything to go quiet for 4 hours and everybody to leave me alone. Right. But we never set that up. We're much better at it now. Like if something's not jiving with us or the kids, it's like, nah, you need to leave. But that would be the big thing, right? Just be open and be really okay not feeding your own ego for that first little bit. Because eventually it will come back, right? As the communication solidifies and the situation stabilizes, both partners get to a point where they will be able to start taking care of each other again, right? And you just got to be cool with letting it run for however long, right? Because I didn't know what was going on in your head, right? Until you finally told me sometimes, and I'm like, what are you talking about, right?
And I think that's kind of the big thing. Well, there's a couple of things. I think we inadvertently were a great tag team, especially as they got older. But
because it's us against them, and they're not going to win.
Yeah. But for women, like I think that we sometimes, and maybe men do this as well, but I see it a lot with women who we assume men should be reading our minds. They are not mind readers. They are very concrete. They are very literal. So if you need a break, you have to say, please take the baby. Don't do subtle, or like, I'm
Yeah.
stressed and this baby, I'm going to shake, like say, honey, I need you to
Were you about to say you were going to shake the baby?
shake the baby.
Okay, you were. Okay.
What? No, well, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
know
that's what I
kidding,
was
kidding,
going to say, but like we drop subtle hints thinking that the men should
Yeah.
just do it.
Be
But no,
clear.
like they just really black and white, be very specific, because it's hard. They can't, even if you've been married for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, men still don't just know and don't just assume that they're going to know. So being very explicit, I think, is key.
Yeah.
And to effective communication and knowing, I think being able, we've learned how to set it up. Like is now a good time to ask for something that I need, right? Because there's a time and a place, and not knowing that if your partner is coming to you, it's not a time for you to throw, well, you haven't done the dishes. Well, you haven't done this. And it's not that. It's, I can see that you need help. I need help too, but right now I'm going to honor that you need help.
Yeah. And it becomes like, we don't have the formalized construct of, is now a good time for me to ask you this? Right. We did, right? We used that for years, right? But now it's, I know if you came to me and said, hey, I'm dying, I got to go to radium for a week and just clear my head and get, cool. See ya. Yeah. Right. Is it inconvenient sometimes? Yeah, for sure. But I also know that the trade-off is at any point in time when I say, I'm going to the cabin to take care of some stuff, I'm going to be gone for 2 days, the house just picks up and moves on. Yeah. Right. But it is, you're absolutely bang on. You've got to be really, both sides need to be explicit. Men are simple task-oriented creatures, right? And part of that, though, is because men are trained, to your earlier point of, you've got to be all these things now, but you've got to know how to do it exactly the way I want to do it. And that's not the spinach we get. I don't give a shit. This is spinach A, spinach B. Spinach A was out. I got spinach B.
See, but then women would internalize that. You don't listen. You don't care about me. You don't know me very well.
Whereas like, in a men's head, it's, she sent me for spinach and I brought spinach back. I'm going to check that off the list. And then it's like, we don't eat that spinach because it's got arugula in it, and arugula is disgusting. And we only get, and it's like,
arugula is pretty gross.
But you know what I mean, right? But so men, current day men, are preconditioned to very rarely take the initiative to decide on their own what needs to happen, because it is rarely 100% right. Rarely. And it's just not worth it. It's much easier to just look at someone and wait until they go, we're out of toilet paper. Can you get toilet paper? Cool. What kind? And then the magic words, I don't care, which all men know is a lie. They always care.
I don't care which toilet paper. Spinach I do. Spinach I care.
I guarantee you I could pick the toilet paper you don't like. But it is that. It took us years to build that. And we've taken courses and we've gone to couples courses and for me, super useful, right? Because as good as I am with people, I'm good with people in my own way. I'm not good with people in the way they might need it, right? So those courses help me figure out how you and I can talk to each other without freaking out. But that's 100% what it comes down to is communication and lack of ego and just service.
And one other thing.
Oh.
Remember the Seinfeld episode?
Fusilli Jerry?
What?
No, I just saw we have fusilli pasta and it made me think of something.
No, we're now I forgot his name.
Kramer? George?
Yeah. Decides to do the opposite of what his gut is, right?
Opposite George. It's amazing.
Okay. And he's successful.
Absolutely.
That's kind of
my name's George and I live with my parents, and he gets the date. Bammo.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything that he thinks is opposite of what he should do, that's kind of parenting. That's the only other thing that I'm going to throw in there is parenting is so to do the right thing as a parent. It's so counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Maybe that's open for another day, but I think that that's something that I have definitely learned in my years. The right thing is probably the opposite thing of what you're about to do.
That's interesting. And is that because your instinct is always from yourself, your own perspective, as opposed to the perspective that it should be of the broader good, like the greater good?
Or of your child's, yes.
Interesting. And I agree. I think that makes total sense. Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
I can expand on that because I think that can take us down another whole rabbit hole. There's lots of things in here. I had questions around this as well. Could go in so many different directions. But I mean, yeah, it's hard, but I think you've kind of summed it up fairly good around that effective communication piece.
Yeah.
And we're all in this. Nobody's got a manual, and nobody has a manual for your kid. And your kid is going to be different from your second kid, and it's going to be different from your parents' kid, and it's going to be different from everybody else's, So take what works for you and for your family unit. You're the expert on your family unit. And just know we're all in it. We're all there. It's hard for everybody.
Yeah.
We've all got our stuff, and you're all given, I know that this is so cliche, but the kid that you can manage.
And if your kid happens to be the one that's standing faster and sitting faster and better than all the other kids in the prenatal class, then let them know. Be bold. Wear t-shirts that say my kid sat before your kid. Right? Like, I wish we had been ruder sometimes.
I wasn't. And then it was all full of shame. There's so much shame and guilt and so much everything.
And that's it, right? Like when it comes down to it, this is overly dramatic, but it is you, your partner, and the kid against the world. Those are the only 3, 4 when you add, 5 when you add, whatever. Those are the only ones that matter. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go out and be rude.
No.
But you always, it's really interesting, that whole perspective, right? The opposite effect, because you're right. You're taking what used to be I want, and you need to now make it what do we want, and move it forward in that unit. But if you're able to do that, and you're able to always put the we first, everything else falls into place.
Oh man, see, now I've just thought of other things, like other advice too.
Like what?
We should just have like a whole just advice, this and this and this. I think so many people think that your life has to change when you have a baby.
It doesn't?
No.
Did our life not change when we had a baby?
Well, it changes, but you don't have to stop living. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm curious.
Did our life change?
We're in a closet with a microphone. Like, do I need to explain it? Yeah, our life changed. Now, it brought out our inner old person. Like, we had an excuse not to go socialize. We didn't have to go to parties anymore.
But we still did go out, and we still traveled. Like I remember flying home from Jamaica, our little Maya sitting in her little bassinet, looking back at everybody else in the plane. Her cute little self kicking her leg over. And she was hooked up onto an IV, 1 year old.
That's a big jump. So she's leaving out parts of the story where Maya got super sick in Jamaica, and we think a doctor put an IV into her.
She did, because she was all caught up in it. And then there was the big fight. See, that was the thing between the moms.
The grandmas.
Your mom wanted to take the baby home with her back to Canada, but my mom was like, no, the baby needs to stay with her mom in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Fight. But I could not part with my baby.
No,
and she was so sick.
And both had
but we
reasons.
stayed.
Yeah, we stayed.
We could have left, but we stayed. She's going to be sick in Canada. She's going to be sick in Jamaica. May as well be on the beach and be sick. That sounds horrible.
Oh my God.
That sounds horrible. She was better. She was getting better.
This is where Child and Family Services starts listening.
Oh, stuff is falling down. She was getting better. If she was getting better, she was okay.
No, she was. Like, so I love that we always have these context breaks. At our wedding, Maya was about a year old. Yes, she's a child of sin. But everybody got sick. There was Norwalk around. Norwalk jumped the fence from the resort to ours. Most of our party got super sick. We got sick mildly. Maya took it the worst, to the point where she was so sick we had to get her hooked up to an IV to replenish her fluids. Right near the end of the first week, the plan was always for us to stay an extra week and for the baby to head home with the grandparents and be taken care of. That's where the communication between the two grandmas came down. Not that just my mom was trying to steal a baby and take her internationally flying. But yeah, we had to alter that and keep her with us for the second, what our quote unquote honeymoon was. And yeah, it was fine. She was back to herself. We had a great week. But yeah, I think
kids are adaptable. They don't know any different.
Yeah,
so they're malleable.
They are. And I think to the earlier point, yes, on a broad stroke, your life doesn't have to change. but your
the
life
day-to-day.
changes.
Yeah, like
right.
stopping. I remember I'd go to the gym and then come back into the car and sleep with the car because your mom would be in
Mom
the
would meet you at
car
the gym at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
She would drive across town and meet you in the car in the
and
gym.
watch the baby. And then I would have a little nap in the car with the baby. And then we go to swimming lessons.
Yeah.
And then so I remember just setting up a bed and then I would do some work as she slept in the car, just because I was very Nazi-like about naps, but she never napped. Who are we kidding? But so I guess there are those little daily things, but you don't have to give up your whole everything.
Yeah, no, you have to accommodate. You don't have to give it up.
Yeah.
Right. That's all.
Anyways, I think we've talked a long time for this one.
We have. So if you stuck around this long, thank you. Hopefully it's some useful information. Remember that it's you and your significant other or the ride or die buddies. Everybody else doesn't matter. You got to be on the same page. So yeah, if you made it this far, like and subscribe, spread the word, help us grow this out so we can prove to everybody that we are Parents of the Year 15 years running. Yeah.
And reach out if you've got stories you want to share, questions you want us to ask, anything like that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.